Welcome back. All right. So, all you fine hockey fans that have stayed up late to watch this review or who watch it in the morning, some unpredictable results tonight. We definitely had some trap-like results. But hey, you know, tonight's one of those nights where you look and you go, there is some parity in the NHL. And some teams that got off to really hot starts, they will fall back to earth, just like those teams off to miserable starts are going to get their share of wins here and there. It doesn't completely even out, but there are those times. Ottawa and Boston. So for the Ottawa Senators, I got to be honest, I thought they were going to pull this one off. It was Murray versus Swayman. Sokolov making his debut for the Ottawa Senators. I thought he had a good game. He doesn't get on the board tonight, but good two-way game there. Tkachuk gets a turnover, and Sanford on the first shot for the Senators scores at 1:14 from Tkachuk. So that's Sanford's first goal as an Ottawa Senator, and it's 1-0. Senators get a power play. That was a no for them, and that was the storyline tonight, was the power play. Turnovers were an early issue for the Bruins as well. The Bruins press at 6.5 minutes. Lots of hits at this stage of the game. More pressure by the Bruins at 8.5 minutes. They then get a power play. That led to a shorthanded chance for Formenton, and that draws a Bruins penalty. I think it was McAvoy that took the penalty there. So then the Sens end up with a 4-on-3. They call a timeout because it's going to be a brief 5-on-3, and they're trying to figure everything out. Everything gets killed off, and then the Bruins get themselves a power play. In the last minute, Clifton had a shot that was saved. Murray then denies Marchand in the closing seconds. So despite a lot of power plays both ways in that first period, none of them come to fruition. Second period, early power play for the Senators. That was a no. And then the Bruins get a power play shortly thereafter, and they score on it. It's Marchand from Pastrnak and McAvoy at 5 minutes and 12 seconds. So that ties it up at 1. The Senators then tried to answer. McAvoy with a shot that was blocked. The Bruins press. The Senators went over 8 minutes without a shot in this game, which, again, that's one of those things that some teams go through those kind of droughts. And then Forbert scores from Coyle and Hall at 10:58. Forbert is really fitting in well with the Bruins. He's been a nice addition to the blue line. And on that play, DJ Smith was unhappy with a non-call that he felt the Bruins should have had there. But do not fret. The Bruins lead doesn't last very long. Nikita Zaitsev scores from Ennis and Shabbat at 13:09 from a sharp angle. And so that might be one of those ones that Swayman wishes he had back, but it's 2-2. Brown then drilled Frederick. That's Josh Brown, because Connor Brown was out tonight. So that caused some chatter in the crowd because it was a thunderous hit. But you can't really cheer it because you're in Boston and it's the Boston guy getting knocked down. The Bruins press with 2.5 minutes left. Clifton then had a fight with Formenton. The dislike between these teams breaks out in the final 2 minutes. And then Bergeron. Bergeron scores from Pastrnak and McAvoy at 18:40. That puts Boston up 3-2 after 2 periods. Third period, Murray was sharp early. The Senators get a power play. That was a no. Hall had a chance that was saved while the Bruins were pushing. The shots were 5-4 for the Bruins at the half. The Senators get a power play. It's unsuccessful. They did pull the goalie in the final minute, but at the end of it, Boston wins this one 3-2. They go to 6-4 on the season. Ottawa drops to 3-8-1. The shots in this one, 14-11 Boston in the first, 15-6 Boston in the second, 10-7 Ottawa in the third. Final shots 36-27 for the Boston Bruins. Power plays, Ottawa 0-for-6. Boston 1-for-3. The hits were 27-26 for Boston. So that power play costs Ottawa the game tonight. Murray with 33 saves on 36 shots. Played well. So did Swayman. 25 saves on 27 shots. Not a bad game. Remember, these teams meet each other 3 more times this year. And it looks like it could be a bit of a battle when these teams meet each other. And I'm in favor of that. Next up, the Kings in against the Montreal Canadiens. So this was entertaining in that it was Philippe Danault's return, right? So it's Peterson versus Allen. And every time Danault touched the puck, he got booed. It is interesting because I understand it with Kotkaniemi, but with Danault, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of strange because Danault exited on his own terms and not really as an insult to Montreal. And I understand the Kotkaniemi thing, but yes, it's Montreal fans, and that's kind of a tradition, is booing guys that used to be Montreal Canadiens because there wasn't really any hate behind it. Early press for the Habs. The fans were chanting early. The Go Habs Go chants were going early. So this was a crowd that really wanted to see Montreal, get her going tonight. Gallagher had a chance to deflect it high. The Kings get a power play. That was unsuccessful. But 8.5 minutes into the first period, the shots are 6-1 for the Kings. Then during the break, they had, the Dano package, and they had an ovation for him. And that was nice, and the crowd showed him they appreciated him, and then they went right back to booing him when the action started. Again, that's funny. You can't write it. It's great. So Anderson in close fires one wide. Lehkonen couldn't bury one, but the Habs press off of that, and they eventually score. At 15:03, it's Sherratt from Lehkonen. We then get a delay of game call. The Habs get a power play. Hoffman had a shot that was blocked. That was killed off by LA, but it's 1-0 Montreal after one. Second period. The Kings would get a power play, and the second period was very good period for the Kings. Kempe had a chance that was saved. That power play was killed off, but Lemieux would score from Bjornfot and Lizotte at 4:56 right after the power play ends. So for Brendan Lemieux, of course, his dad, Claude Lemieux, scored plenty of goals in Montreal, and so it makes sense that his first goal of the year would be in Montreal. Habs press. The Kings would clear it out after that. The Kings then pressed with 7 minutes left. Allen denies Kopitar. There was a crossbar for Dano. LA pressed after that. Kings get a power play. It's unsuccessful in the last minute. Edler with some chances. Alex Edler has been waiting over a year for goal number 100. He has been on goal number 99 for a while. And as a Canuck fan that's watched him get close, it would be nice to see that happen. Doesn't happen tonight. So third period, at 6 seconds, Alex Iafallo continues what's been a great start to the season for him. Just causes a turnover and goes in on his own and gets the goal. Beautiful, fantastic play. We then get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 not long after that. The Kings get chances during that 4-on-4. The Kings can get a power play. And it was because Pezzetta, who came out of the box. So Pezzetta and Lemieux both go to the box. And I think with Lemieux, I think it was an embellishment. It was either an embellishment or a hold. It doesn't matter. They chirped at each other in the penalty box. And then when they came out, Pezzetta was obsessed with getting Lemieux to fight with him. So he's hooking him and slashing him. And eventually the ref's like, those are penalties, and so I'm going to call one. So the benches after that were chirping at each other. Gallagher kind of having some words with the Kings bench. This is the last time these teams are going to see each other. It's kind of a shame when you see that kind of stuff going on. So Habs get a power play. Suzuki fires one wide. That's killed off. But Jake Evans scores from Lehkonen and Kulak at 13:22. So Arturi Lehkonen with 2 assists tonight in this game. The Habs then press for the lead. Suzuki with the post on a wraparound. He just didn't quite get it out in front of the net. If he had it, would have gone in. And the momentum had shifted. It had shifted in favor of the Montreal Canadiens. There's a late penalty to Dano, which brought cheers from the crowd. Hoffman was denied, and it was killed off. So we go to overtime. The Habs controlling the faceoff. Suzuki had a chance to deflect it out. And then Anderson couldn't bury one for Montreal. And I say for Montreal because it's Josh Anderson. And, of course, there's Mikey Anderson and Leash Anderson on the Kings, right? Iafallo was then denied. The puck goes the other way. Dvorak was denied. Great overtime. But at 3:39, Kempe ends it from Athanasiou and Clegg. So LA goes into Montreal, wins their 6th in a row. That's the Kings jersey tonight. They win 3-2 in overtime. They go to 7-5-1 now. And for Montreal, they get the overtime loss, but they're 3-10-1. It's an ugly picture for Montreal. And every passing game, it becomes a little more dire. So the shots in this one were 13-8 Montreal in the first, and then 17-5 LA in the second, 13-7 Montreal in the third in the overtime. They did outshoot LA 4-2. Final shots 35-34 for Montreal. Power plays 0-4 for LA, 0-3 for Montreal. The hits 33-16 for the Habs. Peterson saves 33 out of 35. Allen saves 31 out of 34. And yeah, Peterson had a very good game tonight for LA. And that's after Jonathan Quick had a really good game in the last one. If they continue to play like this, the Kings are going to surprise some people. All right, next up. Carolina and Tampa. You know, what's interesting with this one is that Tampa's probably going to feel fortunate with this result coming out the way it did. And for Carolina, this was a pretty good performance by them. Even though the score ends up being close, I thought it was a really good game. So it was Anderson versus Vasilevsky. The Bolts get an early chance. Perry with the chance here. Corey Perry had numerous opportunities tonight. Open, fast start, and both teams are very good at the transition game, which the announcers point out right away because it's true. They are two of the best teams on the transition. Those two and Florida are excellent on transition, and it's fun to watch. So there was then a fast, a blast by Jesper Fast that goes wide. Stahl with a wraparound chance was saved. Point with a rush chance, that was saved as well, but the Bolts get a power play. A strong penalty kill by the Canes, which then leads to them getting a power play as well. Dangerous power play. The Bolts did kill it off, but it was a very dangerous looking power play for Carolina. They then get another power play, one a little less dangerous. It's killed off as well. The Bolts were stuck on 3 shots. Past about, I want to say they had 3 shots at like the halfway mark, and they just didn't have anything else going on. Killorn fired a rush chance wide. With 1:33 left, the Bolts get a power play, and they just don't get anything through. They were stuck on 3 shots till the end of that first period. And early in the second, you can see the Canes are doing their best to keep Tampa to the outside. Keep them to the outside, no secondary chances. Anderson saves one, get it out of the zone. They were doing very, very well. Power play for the Canes, it becomes a 5-on-3. The Bolts survive that and kill both of them off. Hedman then with a chance was saved. The Tampa Bay Lightning had 5 shots, 28 minutes into this game. But then they press, and they show how opportunistic they are when Stamkos scores from Joseph and Killorn at 9 minutes. And that was the 6th shot to 18 for Carolina. So Carolina, to their credit, didn't get frustrated, didn't start taking down penalties after that. Bolts did get a power play after. That was killed off, and then we get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Third period, the Canes press at 2.5 minutes, and Tampa Bay is still being outshot in the third period. This is at home, and they're being outchanced and outshot by Carolina. The Canes were getting frustrated. They were also getting great chances. Near miss then for Braden Point. Pressed by the Bolts. Sorelli ends up hitting the crossbar during that. Killorn couldn't bury one. The Bolts take a penalty, and then... See, and it's a penalty at the offensive end of the ice, and then Carolina finally gets that power play goal. It's Teravainen from Trocheck and Svechnikov at 9:56. It was a nice cross-ice pass by Trocheck. No chance. No chance on that one for Vasilevsky, and that's what you have to do. Perry then had a rush chance that was defended by Slavin. Slavin came back and did a very nice job cutting him off. Lawrence then with a near miss on a rush. The Bolts get a power play. Perry was denied. There was a near miss for Colton as well. And the Bolts would press with 2 minutes left, but we go to overtime. The Canes controlled early. Nechas fires one wide. Sorelli was denied, and then Nechas puts the next one in the net. He scores at 3:26. Carolina wins 2-1. In overtime, they go to 10-1 on the season. Tampa drops to 6-3-3, being their record. The shots 12-3 Carolina in the first, 10-8 Carolina in the second, 8-6 Carolina in the third. Both teams had 1 shot in the overtime. Carolina's being the one that matters. Final shots 31-18 for Carolina. So Carolina will be very happy with having allowed 18 shots to the Tampa Bay Lightning in their building. Excellent game. Power plays, Carolina goes 1 for 5, Tampa 0 for 4. The hits 31-26 for Carolina. Anderson 17 saves on 18 shots. Vasilevsky 29 saves on 31 shots. Carolina, yeah, at 10-1, not bad. All right, next up, Florida. So Florida had a rough night last night, and tonight's encore, kind of rougher. So it was Knight versus Blackwood. I'm not going to say that they're really hoping that Bobrovsky comes back soon, but they're really hoping Bobrovsky comes back soon. Early power play for the Panthers, that was a no. But then Sam Bennett scores. He scores from Tippett and Verhaeghe at 3:53. So not long after that power play ends, Florida gets a goal. The shots were 7-3 for the Panthers at 8.5 minutes. It looked like this could be a really good game for Florida. This is the bounce-back game they're looking for. The Devils, though, they even up the shots, and their fourth line with some pressure. And definitely, making sure there's puck pressure every time Florida has it. No room for the Panthers either. The Devils then get a power play in Janssen. It's Janssen. He scores, I'll talk about that in a minute, from Bratt and Subban, or Severson, I should say, at 15:46. And then Heischer scores from Ty Smith and Subban at 17:45. So all of a sudden, this game's gone from 1-0 Florida, looking like a pretty good game for them, to being 2-1 New Jersey, and they're in the driver's seat. Ekblad would try to answer after that, but it's 2-1 after one. And then in the second period, Florida does answer. First two shots go in the net in that period. First, it's Barkov from Verhaeghe and Duclair at 24 seconds, and then Tippett from Forsling and Huberdeau at 1:29. And what we didn't know was, that's it. Blackwood's not allowing anything else. Janssen would tie it from Mercer and Brad at 1:58. Now, this is his second goal. They're still calling him Johnson. The announcers, the Florida announcers kept calling him Johnson. They kept saying Andreas Johnson. And I'm like, okay, it's Janssen, because Andreas, technically, most guys named Andreas, it'll be Janssen, not Johnson. If your name's Andreas Johnson, I apologize. Just saying, there's the second S there, it's normally Janssen. It's driving me crazy. They would fix this before the end of the second period, but I was really going nuts watching this, and I don't think I was the only one. 3 shots in the second period to this point, and all 3 of them went in the net. So again, it looks like this is going to be just crazy. Last shot wins. We had no idea how this was going to go. The Devils press at the half. The Panthers get a power play. It's Janssen in the box, not Johnson. They were still calling him Johnson at this point. You're like, and Andreas Johnson with the penalty. And they're like, it's not Johnson. I might have swore at the TV at that point. I might have. Strong penalty kill by the Devils. Janssen with a chance that was saved. And then Subban scores from Mercer and Siegenthaler at 18:15. So PK Subban with his first goal of the year to go with an assist that he had the first period. Good game for him. And suddenly, the Devils are ahead again. The Devils are up 4-3. They then get a power play. That was unsuccessful, but we go to the third period. Early press by the Panthers. The Devils get another power play. This time they score. It's Zacha on the power play from Hischier and Holtz at 4:44. I think that's Holtz's first point in the NHL. And there were 3 power play goals all season for, I want to say for Zacha last year. But anyways, I had 3 power play goals all season. So that I would think is in reference to Zacha. All right. And then Ty Smith scores from Tatar and Boquist at 5:13. So all of a sudden, this game's turning into a laugher for the New Jersey Devils against the Florida Panthers. The Devils get a power play. That was a no. Goaltender gets pulled with 5 minutes left because you got to do something. And so that allows the 7th goal to happen for New Jersey. It's VC from Siegenthaler at 16:11. Yeah, 7-3. That's a legit score. The New Jersey Devils 6-3-2, and Florida with back-to-back losses in regulation now are 10-2-1. So, in my eyes, yes, Carolina has now surpassed them yet again on a board I'm looking at. The shots are 13-12 New Jersey in the first, 12-9 Florida in the second, 14-9 Florida in the third. Final shots, 38-31 for the Panthers. Power plays 0-2 for Florida, 2-4 for New Jersey. Interestingly enough, New Jersey special teams are not good usually. Tonight they were very good. Hits, 28-21 Florida. Spencer Knight, 24 saves on 30 shots. Rough night for him. And Blackwood, 35 saves on 38 shots. Excellent night for him. So, now we need to go to board number 2. Okay, so Detroit. It's interesting. This is why I like the matchups this year and just the fact that everybody's playing everybody again. Because Detroit played a game against Edmonton that teams need to take notes. Detroit played Edmonton very, very well. And it was Skinner versus Nedeljkovic. The Wings put one in early, but Skinner had it. So it's not a goal, and referee waves it off right away. But it was a fast start by the Wings. 5 minutes in, the shots are 3-1 in their favor. So this is a good game for Detroit at home. Crowd's into it. The Wings press at 7.5 minutes. Ernie was denied and close. Things get kind of scrappy after. The shots were 10-3 in their favor at 9 minutes. So yeah, Detroit came out swarming early in this one. Perlini had a chance. That wouldn't go. Yamamoto nearly gets one. The Oilers press, but then there's a rush chance. And Nemesnikov scores from Gagne at 14:03. Very nice goal. And for Gagne, of course, he was an Oiler. I believe he was an Oiler twice. So, yeah, that's a 1-0 goal right there. The Oilers try to answer, but the Wings are blocking shots very well. Leddy had a chance that was tipped on net, but it's 1-0 Detroit after one. Second period. Fabry had a rush chance saved. The Wings get a power play. That was unsuccessful. Nemesnikov then scores his second of the game from Hronek and Rasmussen at 6:43. The Oilers get a power play. Well, that's an automatic goal. Not tonight. That was a no. So Bouchard had a shot that was caught. Raymond to Larkin, then that nearly connects and nearly made it 3-0. Fabry had a shot that was kicked aside, and then it's Larkin. This is Skinner with a turnover that it happens. He turns it over. He's behind the net. Larkin just puts it in the empty net of 14:09. Larkin scores a lot of goals against Edmonton. It's one of those teams he likes playing against. And so, yeah, Skinner basically with a bad turnover, and Larkin puts it in the net. It's 3-0 Detroit. So, best game I thought any team had played against the Oilers to this point. And I was like, this is the best anybody's played against the Oilers to this stage. The Oilers get a power play. That was a no, again. And I even put a question mark, like, seriously, somebody killed off 2 power plays for Edmonton? Their power play is going to be below 50%. This is crazy, right? So the Wings press with a minute and a half left, but in the final minute, it's Puljujarvi from Cuckoo at 19:25. So that makes it 3-1, and that adds a little bit of tension. And then early in the second period, it's Connor McDavid, because of course it is. Nurse and Bouchard with the assists at 38 seconds. Strong start for the Oilers. The Wings end up getting a power play. There was a shorthanded chance for Yamamoto on that. The Oilers press with 6.5 minutes left. Hyman was a crossbar away from tying it. And, yeah, crossbar away from tying it. Ernie couldn't bury one with 2:40 left. They pulled the goalie with 2 minutes left, and that allows Seider to hit the empty net from Rasmussen and Leddy at 19:44. And that was after so many chances for the Oilers. I was convinced the Oilers were going to tie this, send it to overtime, and probably win it. And I was still willing to give some credit to Detroit for pushing them that far. But Detroit wins in regulation. They go to 7-5-2 with a 4-2 win. The Oilers drop to 9-2, if you can call that dropping. But your shots, 16-9 Detroit in the first, 13-11 Detroit in the second, 13-10 for Edmonton in the third. Final shots, 39-33 for Detroit. Both power plays go 0 for 2. Detroit will take that all day long. Hits, 15-10 for Detroit. Skinner, 35 saves on 38 shots. Nedeljkovic, 31 saves on 33 shots for him. So, yeah, the Oilers go into Detroit, and they lost. Absolute. I was very surprised by that result, but it wasn't out of line with others tonight. This was surprising, too. St. Louis and Winnipeg. Not a win by St. Louis being a surprise necessarily, but I thought Winnipeg played a really good game, just couldn't get the win. So it's Binnington versus Hellebuck. The Heritage jerseys being worn tonight by Winnipeg. A lot of third jerseys being worn tonight, like there was a league memo or something. And of course it was Armed Forces night in a lot of buildings too, so it makes sense to wear those for, special occasion kind of thing. Early chances for the Jets, some back and forth action. Both goaltenders tested. Both goaltenders played very well tonight. Jets get a power play. Dubois had a wraparound chance that wouldn't go. That's killed off. The Blues get a power play. There's scores. So Buchnevich scores from Kyrou and Neal at 18:09. And after one period, St. Louis is up 1-0. Very good road period. And clearly something said in the Winnipeg dressing room between the first and second, because they came out ready to go. Early jump for the Jets. Connor with a rush chance wouldn't go. And 8 minutes into the period, the shots were 9-1 for Winnipeg. Eventually, one of them goes in. It's Pionk from Tony Nato and Svechnikov at 10:56. Wheeler then had a rush chance that was saved. Scheifele was denied. And he was denied even though Binnington didn't have a stick on that play. No easy passes for the Blues in that second period. There was always jet sticks in the lane. They were always blocking and doing whatever they had to do. Lowry had a near miss. The Jets get a power play. Wheeler couldn't bury one. It's killed off. And then Tony Nato had a wraparound. That wouldn't go. So we go to the third period. Costin was down by Stanley, and it looked really dangerous at the time. Costin got up, and he was okay. It's just one of those things that can happen during a game. Jets weren't giving the Blues much, and then they got the lead. It's Kyle Connor from Wheeler and Stanley at 6:22. That is Wheeler's 700th point with the organization. So I'm assuming that means with Atlanta as well as with Winnipeg. He's now got 700 points in the organization. Blues would try to answer. Tarasenko had a net drive that was saved. There was a press by the Jets at 8 minutes. And then Barbashev with a steal. The Jets are defending that. But Kyrou scores from Buchnevich and Rosen at 11:54. So Calle Rosen in the game tonight, he gets an assist there, and that ties it up. Jets tried to answer. Wheeler, it would have been a sure goal if he just could have elevated. He just couldn't get it high enough to get it over Binnington into the net. Kopp couldn't bury one. He was denied. Pressed by the Blues then with 4.5 minutes left, because as this game rolls along, the Blues seem to realize we can steal this. It's a game that Winnipeg's played very, very well, and I think they wanted to reward Binnington, and they're like, hey, we can get 2 points from a division rival tonight. So O'Reilly had a near miss and close. Ehlers, he had a rush chance that was saved, and then the Blues rushed the other way. But we go to overtime. Dubois gets the first chance, and that's it. That's it for Winnipeg with the puck. I don't think they touched it the rest of the overtime. Blues controlled it after. Kyrou had a chance that was saved and held. Thomas had one that was saved. Goalpost for Saad. This was just, it was insane. You would have thought it was a 4-on-3 power play. Parayko had a close call as well. So we end up going to a shootout. Somehow Hellebuck saves all of it. And in the shootout, O'Reilly gets the winner. St. Louis gets the second point. They go to 8-2-1 in the season. Winnipeg drops to 6-3-3. And the shots tell the story. 8-6 St. Louis in the first, 17-5 Winnipeg in the second, 17-10 Winnipeg in the third, and then in the overtime the shots were 10-1 St. Louis. Yeah, 10 shots in 5 minutes for St. Louis. Final shots 41-33 for Winnipeg. The power play, St. Louis went 1 for 1. That's a very efficient power play. Winnipeg 0 for 2. The hits were only 20-15 for Winnipeg. Binnington 39 saves on 41 shots. Hellebuck 31 saves on 33 shots. And yeah, this was a good game, and in the end, St. Louis comes out with that extra point. And considering these teams are both fighting it out for first place, that's a very important point to get. All right, next up, Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh, I don't know how Pittsburgh fans are going to view this. This was a game that absolutely was getting away from them, and then it didn't, but then it did, right? So it's Jarry versus Fleury. Early saves by Marc-Andre Fleury. Since that horrible start, Fleury and the defense seem to be coming around. The question becomes, is it too late? Can the Chicago Blackhawks go on a run now, or are they going to, get 3 or 4 wins here and then they're going to fall back into some bad habits? But tonight was another good night for them and for their goalie. Rust, they pointed out he was playing well at both ends of the rink early on in this. Not a surprise for anybody who's watched Brian Rust. The shots were 4-1 Penguins at 5 minutes. The Penguins get a power play. DeHaan blocks a Carter shot. It's killed off. Calvin DeHaan was blocking everything tonight. He was a very good shot blocker for Chicago. Kane had a drive that was saved. The Hawks get a power play. Jarry saves. The Hawks were cycling it. It's killed off, a lot of it by Jarry there. The Hawks then get another power play. Jones had a shot that was saved, and Jarry kills that one. So I think they had 8 shots on their first 3 power plays. But anyways, we go to the second period. Or no, that's it. They only had 2 power plays tonight. I thought they had 3. All right, Rust had a chance that ends up going high and wide early in the second period, and then Chicago scores. It's Jujhar Khaira with his first of the year from Taves and Kubalik at 2:14, and it was a really nice pass by Taves, and Khaira puts it in the net. So, easy goal for Khaira, and Chicago's ahead 1-0. The emotions were starting to go up at this point, too. These teams not liking each other a whole lot, right? Because this is their second meeting already this year. Final meeting, sadly. Again, like LA and Montreal, but final meeting. Doc to Kane nearly connects. Fleury saves on O'Connor. The Penguins get a power play. That was a no. DeHaan gets stung on a shot block. He stays in the game. Just absolute warrior tonight. Hartman was denied by Jarry. That's Hardman. Hardman was denied by Jarry. Not Hartman. Hartman's in Minnesota. So I wrote that wrong. It's Hardman. And then Jones. He scores from Kane and DeBrincat at 15:53 to make it 2-0 for Chicago. And that was a result of a really strong shift by the Chicago Blackhawks. And then there's a last-minute press by the Penguins. But it's 2-0 Chicago after 2. Crowd's kind of into it. Third period. Carter tests Fleury early. McGinn with a tip that was stopped. The Penguins get a power play. And again, DeHaan, shot blocking. It's on the board a lot. DeHaan. It's killed off. Carter, though, would score from Gensel and Friedman at 5:34. And so that makes it 2-1, and things are getting, again, the emotions are going up. So things get scrummy at the Hawks net at the half. Fleury didn't appreciate getting poked at, so he took the law into his own hands, as Fleury sometimes will do. Back-to-back icings then by the Hawks, and the Hawks were hemmed in. They're up 2-1, but they're being hemmed in by Pittsburgh. Boyle nearly ties it. Kubalik the other way ends up hitting the post. Hardman had a break that was saved. I spelled it Hardman here, just Hartman there. Penn scored, but was the net off? That was the question I had, was the net off. And I think what they were looking at is, so when the net's not in place, they look to make sure that the puck didn't cross the line in a spot where normally the post would be there, the net would be there. So they looked and they went, yep. Now, the interesting thing, too, is the announcer kept saying, but I thought the net was off. Because Fleury knocks the net off, that's still a legal goal. So it counts. It's Carter with his second from Gensel and Rust at 15:43. So that ties up the game. And again, it counts. And I believe it's because Fleury knocked it off. So they were looking to see whether or not it went in the net legally, as in not where the net would be or where the post would be. I don't think it mattered that it was off the moorings because the goalie was the one that knocked it off. Overtime. Penguins control on the faceoff. DeBrincat had a rush chance that was saved. Rodriguez fires one wide. There was a 2-on-0 for the Hawks. It was DeBrincat and Kane ends up hitting the post. I was sure that was going in. And then fighting breaks out during the overtime. Not that anybody got a fighting major, but there was some roughing and whatever else going on. And then we go to a shootout. And Taves and DeBrincat score the goals. Yeah, Chicago wins this in a shootout 3-2. They go to 3-9-2 on the season. Pittsburgh drops to 4-3-4. So now they've won 4 out of 11. But they've only lost 3 in regulation out of 11. So if you're a glass half full guy, you're happy. If you're a glass half empty guy, probably not that happy if you're a Penguins fan. So the shots were 14-11 Chicago in the first, 12-11 Chicago in the second, and then Pittsburgh took over. They outshot them 20-5 in the third period before outshooting them 2-1 in the overtime. Final shots 44-32 for Pittsburgh. Power plays, the Pens go 0 for 3. Chicago goes 0 for 2. The hits 36-30 for Pittsburgh. Jarry saves 30 out of 32. Fleury saves 42 out of 44. And yeah, Marc-Andre Fleury's got that save percentage back up. His goals against average coming down. I thought Seth Jones had a good game too. So things are looking up for Chicago. But how far can they go with this? How long can this go before we see them go into another losing streak? Or do they? Maybe they don't. All right. We also have San Jose. So San Jose, a little over a week ago, right? There's the, okay, well, they've got a third of their team on the protocol list. So whatever. Now, those players are good to go, but because of the rules being as they are in Canada, they can't play. They can't come up here and play because of having tested positive. But they're ready to return. So once San Jose has played the 2 games in Canada, they're playing in Winnipeg as well. I believe it's in Winnipeg they're going to next. And then when they go home, San Jose gets everybody back. And then there's some uncomfortable questions, I would think, about who should actually go back in the lineup and which of these young guys has actually earned their spot in the roster. So it was Hill versus Markstrom. Early Sharks power play, that was a no. Good start for San Jose. And that's the key. Against Calgary, get the good start. Get them on their heels in that first 10 minutes. That seems to be the key in games where the Flames are not the victors. So there was a helmet save on Gaudreau by Hill. Hill was very good tonight. Goodbranson had a chance to deflect wide. Hill covered as the Flames pressed later in the period. And there was a late power play for the Sharks that bled over into the second period. The Flames would finish that kill, and then the craziness happened. So Barabanov scores from Burns and Hill at 47 seconds. 30 seconds after that, Lucic thinks he scored. So I'm writing that before I've got the Barabanov goal on the board. So I made sure I wrote it in such a way so that I wouldn't forget while I'm doing the recap for all you fine people. So Lucic thinks he scored, and it did. He did. It went in the net. But San Jose says, wait a minute. That's goalie interference. So now that we've ruled the puck went in the net, now we're checking to see if it was goalie interference. The referee looks and goes, nah, not really. If there was interference, the puck, I think it was just that the puck was already in the net when the interference took place. So it counts, and it means that the Flames get a power play out of it. Now, San Jose kills that off. The Flames would press shortly after that was done as well. There was another Flames power play as well. That was a no. So San Jose doing very well in the PK tonight. The shots were 15-3 for the Flames with 8.5 minutes left. So the fact this game's 1-1 is a testament to just how well Aiden Hill played tonight. The Flames get another power play. There was a shorthanded 2-on-1 for the Sharks during that, and Hertl had a chance that was saved. And then there was a post for Mangiapane during that power play, and it's killed off. So we go to the third period. The Sharks get the first chance. Balcers to Hertl was defended. I know I talk a lot about Rudolph's Balcers. He's playing really well while a lot of players are out. He's played really well for them. Lindholm had a chance. Hill defends on that one. Doesn't actually let the puck, end up being taken by Lindholm. Like, he just basically makes sure Lindholm doesn't get a good chance. And then Couture scores from Hataka, or Hataka, right? Hataka? Yeah, Hataka. And Meloche at 4:18. So there's two of the young defensemen getting on the board, right? So that made it 2-1. The Flames press at 8.5 minutes. Pitlick had a rush chance that deflected up and out. Lindholm had a rush chance as well. That saved. So a lot of rush chances for Calgary, but Hill's up to the task, and so San Jose's defense. Balcers had a shot blocked. He had a good shift there, though. Tkachuk then Tikkanen's burns the stick. So what that means is that he kind of gets Burns' stick out of his hands, and then he tried taking it to the Calgary bench. Well, he's sort of looking around like, I don't know. He's looking at the lights. I laughed pretty hard because here's Burns chasing him down for his stick, and he had it right underneath the arm. And you can say, well, would that be holding the stick? It's a Tikkanen. It's a Tikkanen move. Reminded me of Esa Tikkanen, and it was great. So I really appreciate that from Tkachuk. So first, he climbs up to knock a puck before it goes out on a delay of game, so he gets the penalty on that. And now he's Tikkanen. He did not get called for a penalty there. All he did was Burns wasn't holding his stick hard enough, so he's like, well, I guess if you don't want it, I'll take it. It's fine with me. I don't know. I don't know what he was going to do if he got it to the bench. That's the funny thing. I don't know what his plan was. I don't know if he would have just taken it and just, flung it back into the hallway, go get it, or I don't know if he was going to hand it to a fan or what he was going to do. So the Flames pressed again with 4.5 minutes left. Cogliano was denied an open net chance. Hill saves on Pitlick. The Sharks had a 3-on-2. Markstrom saves, and then they had to pull the goalie. So they pulled the goalie with 1 minute and 40 seconds left. That led to Hurdle getting a goal from Burns and Hill. Now, I've given Hill the second assist on that, even though last time I checked the app, they didn't, because he did touch the puck. And Aiden Hill had the assist here. That'd be the first 2 points he's had in his entire NHL career. And then Dolan had an empty net marker at 1919, which looks like it's one without an assist, but there should have been. And there was some debate about whether or not Aiden Hill might have touched that one too. So the San Jose Sharks win this one 4-1. They go to 7-4-1 on the season. For the Flames, it's their second loss in regulation. They go to 7-2-3. And the Sharks, minus all these players, are 3-1-1. It's a good story, and it's fun to watch. And we'll see how far they can go with this. The shots were 8-4 Calgary in the first, 19-8 Calgary in the second, and then San Jose outshoots them 14-11 in the third. Final shots 38-26 for Calgary. Power plays, the Sharks 0-2, Calgary 0-3. Hits 17-16 San Jose. Aiden Hill 37 saves on 38 shots. Markstrom 22 saves on 24 shots. Solid game by San Jose. Great road game. And then during the intermission in the Canucks game, they were asking Kings and Sharks which one's more likely to keep up their run going, and I'm thinking, why not both? I've been equally as impressed with San Jose's as I have with LA's because they're doing it while so many players are out. So LA with the 6-game winning streak, 6-game winning streak now, and the Sharks 3-1-1 minus everybody. So California is not exactly the pushovers we thought they'd be. And speaking of which, let's go to the next board. So I really think that all three California teams now are kind of proving that they're good. And they're going to make life difficult for the rest of the Pacific. Remember, the Pacific Division was supposed to be the pushover. There was supposed to be 5 teams in the Central that would make the playoffs and 3 in the Pacific. Right now, there's 5 in the Pacific that are in the playoffs and 3 in the Central. I don't know how long that's going to last, but it's remarkable. So Anaheim, Gibson in against Halak. Early chances were for the Canucks. Most of the first 3 minutes are in the Ducks' end. The Canucks get a power play. Horvat had a chance that was saved. That's killed off. Bailey had a rush chance that was stopped. But the shots are 10-3. 10-3 in favor of Vancouver. The Ducks, though, get a power play and they score on it. Fowler from Milano and Terry at 11-18. And that takes some of the wind out of the sails of the Canucks, because this is 11 times out of 13 games that they've allowed the first goal. They can't keep doing this, right? Last minute, the Ducks get a power play, so that rolls over into the second. The Canucks would finish the kill there. There was some line juggling by the Canucks already at this point. The Ducks go back to the power play. The shots were 5-1 in Anaheim's favor 6 minutes into this period. Dickinson had a shot that was kicked aside. Horvat with a good old one-man show like Horvat's able to do here and there. Garland had a couple of those tonight as well. But the one by Horvat was saved by Gibson. The Canucks had a 3-on-1 that misfired. Not a shot on it. Dickinson then had his next opportunity to go wide. The Canucks pressed with 4.5 minutes left. Miller had a tip shot that was saved. The Canucks had a 2-on-1. And Fowler blocked that out and made sure there wasn't a shot out of that. The shot attempts heavily in favor of the Canucks. I think they were 50-29 at this point in the game. Yeah, this was all Vancouver, but they're down 1-0 after 2. Third period. The Ducks get early chances. There were 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Myers had a shot that was saved. The Canucks get a power play. We get a good shorthanded chance for Grant as the power play comes to an end. So that was killed off. Good shift for Podkolzin. And then there was a near Ducks goal at 9 minutes. Or if you look, you see I crossed out near. So there's a post for Getzlaf. The Ducks press at the half. And Shorthouse said, well, you know, if they were going to blow the horn, they would have blown the horn by now. And I said out loud to the TV, it's too early to say that. And then the horn sounded. And sure enough, it's a goal. Lundestrom from Drysdale and Comtois at 9:15. So Maxime Comtois finally gets that first point of the year. Miller had a goal line stand there that actually wasn't. So Toronto looked at it on the replay. And if the puck had been flat, he would have had the goal line stand. Because the puck's on end, it completely crosses the line. It's a goal. So more saves by Gibson after that. But then JT Miller from Hughes and Besser at 13:29 brings life to the building and life to the Canucks. The Canucks nearly tie it. Then with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left, the Ducks get a power play. Green was mad, and I get it. The referee was right there. And I thought either A, it's a toe pick by Getzlaf. It looked like a toe pick by Getzlaf. I understand that his skate and Halak's skate touched. But it's I didn't see a trip there, but they did. And again, the referee's right there. So Green wasn't happy. The fans weren't happy. And I was watching that and thinking, I really would hate to see a power play goal in this situation because that probably shouldn't have been a penalty. So they end up pulling the goalie to go 5-on-5. And 5-on-5 they score. So technically this would be a shorthanded goal for Pettersson from Hughes and Besser at 19:05. I didn't designate it as a shorthanded goal, but it would be because they pulled the goalie to get to 5-on-5. So we go to overtime. Now, in the overtime, Anaheim kind of gets it back together. Canucks control on the faceoff. Lundestrom had a net drive that was blocked. Horvat with a break, that saved. Miller was denied. But then the Canucks get a chance at one end. And then there's 2 Canucks that are gassed, and Anaheim gets the puck. And I'm not going to lie to you, I just stood here, hung my head, and waited. Because I knew what was coming. I've seen this before. It reminded me of St. Louis when they had the 3-0. I was like, oh no. And sure enough, Terry scores from Getzlaf and Drysdale at 3:52. Troy Terry has, I believe it's a 12-game point streak going. It's an NHL leading point streak right now. He's playing fantastic. So good for him. And it was a 3-on-1. No chance for Halak there. The Canucks dropped to 5-6-2 with the 3-2 loss in overtime. The Ducks go to 7-4-3. I think the Ducks are legit. I think the Ducks are proving themselves with every game. So maybe that whole the Pacific's going to be a walkover. Maybe it's overestimated just a little bit. We'll see as the season goes along, right? So the shots were 13-9 Vancouver in the first, 15-9 Vancouver in the second, 12-9 Vancouver in the third. Both teams had 3 shots in the overtime. The overall shots 43-30 for Vancouver. Power plays Anaheim 1 for 4. Vancouver 0 for 2. The hits 16-6 for Anaheim. I really wish the Canucks had somebody physical in the bottom 6. It's just it's an aspect of the game I wish they had. Gibson 41 saves on 43 shots. Halak 27 saves on 30 shots. He had a good game, but again, Vancouver doesn't really give enough goal support to Halak. I think they have 4 goals in 3 games he started now. It's not a great number. It's not fantastic. All right, last game of the night was Seattle and Vegas. This was, well, I mean, it's a game, right? And it's on ESPN Plus, so it's weird. I'm going to talk a bit about that. Striger versus Leonard. Seattle gets a power play. Coming into tonight, Seattle's power play was at 7.9%. Vegas's was at 8.3%. Both power plays get better tonight. Eberle scores on the power play from Johansson and Wenberg at 4:49. Strong first half for the Kraken, and they've quieted the Vegas crowd. That's one thing. You get them down at home, the crowd goes pretty darn quiet in Las Vegas. Vegas was stuck on 3 shots as well. McNabb drills Tanev. The fans enjoyed that, right? Tanev getting dropped. Tanev jumped right back up, but still. Near miss for Marchessault. Geekie had a chance that was stopped. Drieger denies Smith in the final minute. It looks like Seattle's going to get out of this with a 1-0 lead. However, Pietrangelo scores from Stevenson at 1934 to tie it up. Seattle just was not able to, and again, it comes down to are they getting those big saves when they need them? Second period, Giordano's early shot goes wide. And this is where they're interviewing Jack Eichel during the play. They're not even calling the play. And it reminds me of baseball. It's something you do during baseball. You might do it during a football game, kind of. Although during an NFL game, I can't remember ever hearing an announcer talking to somebody in an interview and ignoring the play. But it's distracting because it makes it seem like whatever's going on the ice is really unimportant. And it went on for a while. Like, the Eichel interview thing during the game went on for a while. So it's interesting, too, because during this I was thinking, before the season started, I was asked if I wanted to do kind of some ad work for ESPN Plus on the channel and kind of promote it. Not like on commercials for them or anything. Nothing that fancy. And I didn't really know how that would work. I was kind of like, okay, well, and I thought, I don't know. I don't know if I want to, advertise a streaming service I haven't seen yet. That was kind of my opinion, was I haven't seen it yet. And now I realize if I had, it would seem hypocritical now for me to talk about the broadcast and go, this is bewildering. But it is. Because, Eichel's talking over it. The Kraken gets a power play. I don't know that they actually called that part. Wenberg fires one high and wide. The Kraken then went back to the power play. That was a no. I don't know. And again, they're talking to Eichel about his neck and congratulating him on being traded. Mike McKenna even tweeted out about how odd it seemed to congratulate somebody on being traded. And so, it was an experience. And again, the ESPN Plus, it's an experience. It really is. So it was a fast period, few whistles as well. Gord exited with an injury. He'd be right back, though. Leonard robs Geekie. And again, then Gord was on a 2-on-1, but that goes offside. In the last minute, Seattle presses and they score. And it's Yanni Gord with the goal from Tanev. So they Seattled it. They allow a goal right away. Dodonov with the goal from Carrier and Theodore at 19:44. And then to start the third, they Seattled it. And this is where they're not getting the saves they need. Theodore from Marchessault and Raw at 30 seconds. And I'm not saying they're not nice goals by Vegas. It's just you need that big save, right? So Vegas's first year, they would win games where they played okay, and then they'd have 3 or 4 really good minutes, right? And those 3 or 4 really good minutes would get them the win. With Seattle, it's kind of the opposite things happening. They're playing well. They led in offensive zone time, but those few moments end up going in their net, and it's costing them. So Vegas had a lead at this point. They get a power play, and they score on it. It's Smith from Marchessault and Pietrangelo at 1:16. So in a minute and 32 seconds, Vegas has 3 goals. You have to start getting saves, or if you want to counter and say, hey, none of those are on Drieger, then you need the defense to be able to come up with the plays so that these goals can happen. Vegas is a desperate team, but they were a desperate team that were behind, just not behind for long enough. And once Vegas gets a lead, they're very tough to beat. Vegas goes back to the power play. That was a no. Dunn had a shot that was saved. Offensive zone time here, again, was in favor of Seattle. I think it was by like 3.5 minutes. They had more time. They just were not getting the shots, the quality of shots. They don't have the finishers that they need. Tanev had the 6 goals early in the season. They just don't have it. Like Yanni Gord and Eberle are your goal scorers tonight. And it's great to see Eberle stay hot, but they need more, right? For Seattle to have success, they need more. Marchessault couldn't bury one. Soucy with a backhand that was saved. Goalie pulls takes place with 3 minutes left. And then with 1:54 left, there's a delay of game called, 6-on-4. Time to talk about the broadcast again. He said they put it over the wall. What wall? They're boards. They're boards with glass at the top. There is no wall. What wall did they put it over? Did it go out of the building? Did it go through the roof? If it went through the roof, you can say it went over the wall. It went through the roof, over the wall, and it hit the MGM Grand. They hit the MGM Grand with a puck. So, weird. So, it's, and again, it's one of those things that I hear it and I'm going, did he just say that puck went over the wall? He did. He said it went over the wall. Can we get Eichel back in there? So, Seattle calls the timeout, but then Giordano takes a penalty he has to take on Stevenson, which they showed from 3 different angles. Okay, at least it felt like it. So, Giordano takes the penalty, that ends it. Vegas wins this one 4-2. They go to 7-6 on the season. And for Seattle, they're 4-8-1. It is cascading downhill for Seattle right now. Shots 11-7 Vegas in the first, 10-5 Seattle in the second, 10-7 Seattle in the third. Final shots 27-23 for Seattle. Power plays 1 for 4 for the Kraken, 1 for 2 for the Golden Knights. The hits were 30-15 for Seattle. They outshot him, they outhit him, they outchanced him, just didn't outscore him. Drieger saves 19 out of 23. Leonard saves 25 out of 27. He looked good. And yeah, I really think, and again, 2 of these shots went glove side on Drieger. They knew where to shoot on him. We'll see how it goes from here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.